Hello and welcome back to Second Plays. Enter the Gungeon. Skill is low, but spirits are high. Last run was like, whatever, man, okay? I thought we were going somewhere, we weren't. I'm sad about it, but, you know, the rest of the recording session went well yesterday. I beat the Hollow Knight finally. I won my Wizards of Legend run. You know, I'm feeling good. I did okay at Skull. I got farther than I ever did before. I beat a temple and, you know, a temple of the cursed god or curse of the dead gods, and I also, I would say did okay on the event. Honestly, I didn't complete it, but I haven't beaten. I beat more of that game than I have played on the first go through of it. So that was like the world's luckiest dodge, by the way. So yeah, spirits are high. Unfortunately, I'm just as good at Gungeon as I was yesterday, which is doesn't bode well for the success of this run. But hey, maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the one. I'm starting to believe. I'm starting to believe it's possible. I thought for sure with the Admit 1 and the synergies we had yesterday that it was going to be yesterday. I really was starting to believe, but then, of course, I flubbed it. So, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. What am I going to talk about today? I'll tell you what I'm going to talk about today. It's paper straws. I fucking hate them. I hate paper straws. Yes, I accept that hit is the Earth telling me to feck off. And fine, Earth. I will. Listen, I don't hate paper straws because of their environmental impact. I would love their environmental impact. And I'll use paper straws. Well, I won't, actually. But I bought a reusable metal straw. And I'll use that. That's not... It's still an issue, but it's... Listen, my complaint is that paper straws are not built to handle the robust liquids that they often find themselves in. Like, I got an ice cap with a paper straw. That straw was bendy and floppy, you know, by the time I got home. And then it does this thing where, like, you like, okay, so you, like, suck the straw, right? Like, that's how you use straw. I know how to use straw. No big deal. I can teach you if you want. Pretty easy. I'm doing it for a long time. Anyway, long story short. You use a straw. It's simple, right? Except it's not so simple when it's the paper straws and they become very flexible because you wind up you're going to take a nice big ol' slurp of whatever beverage you want, and then the little paper straw closes up, plugs itself, creates a little seal. You're not getting any liquid. You know what I mean? You're barely even getting the tiny bit of liquid that was in the straw to begin with. Listen, paper straws suck. Metal straws have a different set of problems, you know, but it's almost completely related to taste. I don't like the metallic taste. It doesn't really impart one on the liquid, though it does a little bit. It's like more like that you have to, you know, like put a chunk of metal in your mouth, and it's like if you like licked a fork a lot. You know what I mean? Like don't be licking forks. Man. Anyway. Long story short, I don't like paper straws, but like I'm not gonna not use them. I'm not gonna prefer they bring back plastic straws. I think that is the way paper straws is the unfortunate way of the future. You know what I mean? It's like I get it, recycling, blah blah blah. Even though recycling's a hoax, man. You know, if you'll permit me to go full kind of like, it's not even conspiracy, okay? Recycling is a hoax. It's not a hoax. How do I say this properly? Recycling is not nearly as good as people make it out to be. How about that? How about we do that? First of all, a lot of the stuff you get recycled just gets landfilled anyway. Second of all, you can't even recycle half the stuff you want. It's just a big crock at this point. They'll figure it out, though. They'll figure out a way to make recycling good. I believe. And, I mean, you should keep recycling because not all of it goes to... This is arguments I see people use. The arguments that I see people use on the internet sometimes are... They're maybe... I have a lot of problem is when people argue from completely idealistic positions. So, like, yes, in an ideal world, you would recycle, you know, a higher percentage of what you put into the recycling bin would get recycled, okay? We're not in an ideal world. We're in the crappy. Oh, I got hit anyway. I blanked and I got hit anyway. That's pretty much the biggest feels bad, eh? We're in the crappy real world where people have a bad time and you know that recycling is a sham. Sorry, but people are like, well, only 30% of my recycled goods wind up not in a landfill, so why would I recycle? It's like, well, I mean because there's a bunch of them that don't, my dude. Like, according to your math, there's a bunch of them that do get recycled properly. I'm gonna die. I'm so mad about this recycling thing. This is a hard boss arena to fight Buff. I'm telling you guys now, you don't believe me, okay? But Buffbird is the hardest boss in the game. Anyway, long story short, people are like, well, but only 5% of what I recycled gets recycled. I may as well just trash it, because it's, you know, all but 5% is going to, and it's more work for me. I'm like, sure, if you're lazy, yeah, like if you just want to avoid the very small amount of work and a little bit of extra steps that you can do to ensure that an even higher percentage of what you're sending into the blue bins actually winds up in the recycling plant. Sure, yeah, for sure. But also, it's like if you throw it into the landfill, it all gets landfill. Every single bit of it, right? So it's like you may as well just recycle, right? Like this is like the idea of like, well, but only 15% of it gets recycled, so it's wasteful. Yeah, like, sure, but it's, I mean, without recycling, 0% gets recycled. So, I mean, like, they did the math. I'm not a freaking mathematician here, but I'm pretty sure 15% higher than 0% is a well-accepted fact among the scientific community, you know? It's like that with a lot of stuff, where people are like, well, not 100% of this thing is doing its job or whatever, so therefore the whole thing is useless. Like, no, I don't think so. You hear that argument sometimes with anti-vax people. Oh, well, this vaccine is only 87% viable, so, I mean, it's basically, we might as well just roll in the mud and can, you know, have little dirt babies or whatever. I don't know. But they don't, that's mischaracterizing. What I would say populist vaccine denial is. I'm just making a caricature to meme. But like some of them are that extreme, basically. I think for me it's like, well, but I mean, listen, if it's 1% effective and not doing it does nothing, well then I feel like just 1% less people will have the sickness you're vaccinated against. And that's not great, but I mean, it's better than literally nothing. And if things are better than literally nothing, and they don't ruin a country or people economically and stuff like that, then, I mean, just do it, man. You know? And by the way, none of the vaccines that have been in current news media have been 1% effective. They've all been like 95, in and around the 90s ballpark effective. Which is a very good efficacy, and in fact, thank goodness it is, because the more people you have, we're going to stats town, boys and girls. The higher the efficacy of the vaccine is, the lower number of people you need to make it to get to that spooky threshold called herd immunity. Okay, so if the vaccine has, like, say, 80% efficacy, then it will require proportionally more people be immunized in order to reach the point where we can protect the non-believers. But thanks to it being 90+%, that threshold is not a huge percentage of the population, which is really good for the non-believers, because they're getting protection from everyone else having protection quicker, which is great. Hey, isn't that great? Everyone's happy. Okay, cool. Anyway. All I'm saying is recycle. Okay, recycling is good, still. Even if it's not as good, it's still good. It's still good. You know what I mean? It's like there are some fire safety measures which don't really help against fires, but it's like, man, you sure would love it if your house weren't on fire, right? Let's reduce those chances. I mean, the same people will make an argument like, oh, like this thing, and then we'll be talking about a video game. They'll be like, oh, but I really need the 0.5% chance, you know, increase to my DPS, you know, in order to really be effective. Like, it's like, my dude, what are you doing? Anyway, I just feel ranty today. If you don't recycle, you're a shithead, okay? I hate to use that language, but you are. It helps literally at all. You want to complain about recycling, don't recycle, you're a shithead. That's how it goes. Yeah, show me the charts. Show me the charts that say recycling is killing humanity. You won't. You just won't find any charts that say recycling is curing, you know, cancer or whatever. It's not. It's not that effective. Deal with it, okay? It doesn't mean it's completely I'm gonna die again. I'm too angry. I'm too angry about the recycling, dude. Long story short, I don't know. People on the internet, they always make arguments that are like, oh, in the absolute ideal case, this could be a change humanity, and in the course of human history would be permanently altered to be better. And it's like, yeah, but we don't live in the ideal world, buddy. We live in the world where you're like, hey, people, stay at home. There's lots of COVID, and they're like, nah. I want to go with my boys, though. You know, we're doing another run. I'm just mad. That's why I'm losing. I won't be less mad. This is the video. If you don't like it, bail. All right? This is what I'm saying. Gungeon today is filling the role for a soapbox for me to stand on and complain about things that happen on the internet. They're like, oh, we live in the ideal world. If we just lock the world down, there will be no COVID. It's like, but you can't get people to stay at their homes. So locking the world down is useless in a lot of cases, especially in places where people are not going to listen. Listen, lockdown helps. We should lock down. That should be it. It should be we lock down and that's it. You know what I mean? For 2 weeks, there should be a 2-week thing where we just lock the world down, and then at the end of it, there's no more COVID. But that ain't gonna happen. You know why? People are dumb, man. People won't even recycle. They want to go out. Some people don't have a choice either. Like, I hate to lead with people are dumb. I'm just angry and I'm ranting for some anger memes here, but like, honestly, a lot of people don't have a choice. They have to go out. They have to make money. They have to do this. They have to do that. They're caring for people. There's so many thousands of reasons that people will just have to break quarantine. That saying, well, we should have just locked down, and that would have, if the government had just locked us down immediately, then there would have been no COVID at all. Like, no, you dick. There would have been lots of COVID still. It would have slowed the rate of COVID. It would have been better. It was a better choice to ask everybody to lock down for sure. But it isn't a magical cure-all that would have got us out of this mess. It just would have slowed it down. Which is what it did. Like, in Canada, I'm speaking purely from a Canadian perspective right now. I'm not talking about, like, if you're in Texas, I'm sorry, this is different. You guys are in a different situation. But in Ontario specifically, you know, the whole hospital capacity issue wasn't a problem for the first wave because people mostly did what they were told. The second wave, now you're starting to worry. Also, the country has to have an economy. We have to have money in order to do anything at all because that's how the world works. Anyway, long story short, total and complete lockdown, while ideal, is not realistic. Okay, how about we all agree that that's what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter what my personal feelings are on it. Like, my personal feelings are that we should have locked down for 2 weeks, the whole world, and then COVID would have died, and there would have been no COVID, and we could be back to normal. But it's just not realistic. We just can't have that. You know what I mean? And here to get local. To get local. This will only offend you if you're an Ontarian. And if you're specifically a Ontarian from who's a liberal. I presume it won't offend you if you voted for the guy. I don't think it's that much Doug Ford's fault, the COVID response. I really don't. I think he did mostly what he should have done. I think that, like every other leader in the world, and I don't want to hear, well, every other leader also, that's not an excuse for him to do it. Okay, yeah, it is. To me. Not to you personally, obviously, but to me. I'm not going to expect Doug Ford, some guy from Ontario who got into politics, to have more answers to big scientific questions than people who run the entire countries, man. You know what I mean? No way. I don't hold him personally accountable for the COVID response. Also, he had to keep Pearson open. That's a federal decision. That's where all the people in Canada go to. How? Listen, that's gonna screw our COVID cases no matter what. You know what I mean? I gotta chuck bananas at these dudes and they're gonna die. Die to banana, fool! Okay, we just gotta focus on dodging here. Gotta focus on dodging. Gotta take out this little minion. And then we're going right back to chucking bananas. Oh. All I'm saying is this. If you think Doug Ford is personally culpable for COVID in Ontario, I believe that you're thinking very emotionally, and you're maybe thinking from an idealistic point of view. I don't think that you're wrong, and you're definitely entitled to your opinion, and he should have done more and all this other stuff, and especially in retrospect, you say, man, you're kind of a donkey. But we can also say that about like 90% of the countries in the civilized world. So, listen. Why am I going to blame him? You know, I blame everyone. They're all all the politicians are in the same total garbage situation of dealing with something that they maybe should have been prepared for but weren't. Now, I say maybe should have been prepared for because, listen, everybody's saying, well, scientists have known about this for years. Scientists have known that Yosemite could blow up tomorrow for years, man, but they don't plan for Yosemite blowing up. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. You can know something's gonna happen, but if you, it's how realistic is it to prepare for this thing, you know? Oh, God. Oh, God. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to get, oh, we did it! I wasted a blank, but we got it. I thought maybe you could just blank him to death. You couldn't, by the way. Anyway. I hold Doug Ford no more... Maybe this is more accurate to say. I don't hold Doug Ford more culpable for the COVID response than I do Justin Trudeau. I think that both of them share, I would say, equal blame. They both sucked. Just like everyone else did, buddy. Everyone sucked at COVID. What is this, C4? I don't want that. I don't want any of this. I do want this key for sure, though. Everyone sucked at COVID. How do you prepare for COVID? You know what I mean? Like, how can you just, oh, someone sneezed, COVID, better shut the world. You can't do that. People won't do that. And this is another thing. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna fight this whole room. This is the other thing. This is, people are like, well, actually, people went on cruise ships, and so I think they should have got COVID. They deserved it. I'm like, why? You could call Border Canada, or whatever it was. You could call Public Health Canada. Hey, can I go on a cruise ship? They'd be like, I mean, yeah. You know, the risk of infection is higher there, but there's no stopping you. And then people are like, oh, but well, we should have just left them to die or whatever. And I'm like, excuse me? I don't think that's true. What if you live in Toronto through no fault of your own? You just happen to live in frickin' Toronto, and like Toronto it's endemic. COVID is endemic here, which means that it's in the air basically. You're gonna get the Rona if you live in Toronto. So should everyone in Toronto just die? I don't know, man. I find it so silly that people are like, both like, oh man, we gotta, anyway. I'm getting fired up. People are just so quick to like, especially in hindsight, be like, well, obviously this was the right solution. I never heard anybody saying that when the Rona first came out, you know? Anyway. Gungeon. Gungeon's a great game. No one's got the Rona in Gungeon. I don't even think there's like a Rona enemy, to be honest with you. Oh shit. This should max everybody, right? Yep, nice. It's just one of those things where you're like, you don't like Doug Ford or whatever, so you say, well, I mean, this guy doesn't agree with my politicking, so it's his fault for the Rona. But any liberal in charge would have done exactly the same kind of stuff, man. I mean, you can tell because Justin Trudeau, who's a liberal, is doing the same kinds of things that Doug Ford did, okay? So it ain't that, is what I'm trying to say. Here's what I do. I say, Doug Ford, you tried your best, you failed. You're gonna get voted out. Now go retire and fade into irrelevance like the rest of the Canadian politicians, okay? But some people are like, Doug Ford deserves to be... I should more clarify my position. Is like that. I'm not saying that Doug Ford should remain in office. He should get voted out. He handled COVID poorly. Like the rest of the world. The rest of the world should get voted out too, but so should Doug Ford. Hopefully you stayed long enough to listen to that part, eh? Anyway. Dougie Doug is not specifically evil, nor should he face undue consequences. Like, he should be voted out, because he handled it bad. You know what I mean? I don't want to talk about Trudeau getting voted out. I'm a millennial. What am I? Am I a millennial? What am I? I'm not a boomer. I'm like a 90s kid. I don't know what those are called. Anyway. I feel like a millennial when I say this. Justin Trudeau should be voted out because he promised my entire generation that he would complete voter reform and then didn't. So that's for that reason alone, I want Justin Trudeau outies. I don't have the scandals and whatever. Okay, fine, he's got the scandals. You know, whatever else you want to say about Justin Trudeau, I don't care. Nothing matters to me past the guy said that he would do voter reform, and he did not done and do voter reform. That's it. I've had TV knowledge of politicians lying my entire life. I've watched so much TV. Like, you wouldn't believe how much TV I watched. I get it. Politicians lie. They always say it. It's a big meme. Politicians lie. Well, guess what, man? None had lied to me personally before. Personally. You say personally, I went to Justin Trudeau's frickin' speech thing or whatever it was. Maybe it wasn't Justin Trudeau, but it was a liberal anyway. I went to their, like, event and, like, listened to them talk about how voter reform was a big ticket issue for the liberals and stuff like that. And then guess what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Diddly. They did that dang... They made, like, a little fake council, and they were like, oh, yeah, we figured it out that it's really tough, and no one can decide on one specific voting replacement for our current garbage one. So we just decide, based on that awful one survey of actual... honest to goodness Canadians, not politicians, not political science experts, just Canadians walking down the street, basically. They couldn't decide on one. Well, guess what, man? Every one of the proposed voter voting methods was better than first past the post. Every single one of them. So it's like Amokano's gonna Shrek us, by the way. Maybe if I switch to Mega Man gun. Is Mega Man gun the way? We have no blanks is the problem. We have no blanks, we have no damage. Anyway. Every one of them was better than what we've currently got. And they were like, well, we don't want to swap it because we can't decide which one is absolutely better. This video was garbage. I understand that. Please bear with me. I play like crap today. I hope you understand that. If you don't, listen, man. I'm sorry. That's the way it be today, okay? Thank you for watching so much. I do appreciate it if you watch all the way to the end. I'm just in a mood today, I suppose. So I'm going to put this up and see how it do on the YouTubes. Alrighty, have a good day.